Okay, Josh, Lexi, it does look like the King's procession from Buckingham Palace to Westminster Abbey has begun. Man, look at that! Look at that golden coach. This is the Diamond Jubilee State Coach from my notes here, used back in 2012 for Her Late Majesty's Diamond Jubilee. Okay, we're going to let our viewers watch this in full. We're going to chime in as best as we can. We're going to put up the audio. You can hear some of the sounds and watch some of the sights there in London. History in the making today. This has not happened in the last 70 years. King Charles III about to be crowned the King of England. Let's watch. All right, Andrew Kraft back here. We just wanted to let you watch this. You can hear some of the sounds there on the Mall, leaving Buckingham Palace. Lexi, Josh, let's talk about this coach, this carriage. But first, Lexi, let's talk about these horses.
Yeah, sure. So the royal family put out a tweet sharing the names of those horses. And I'll tell you them right now, one of which is Icon. There's Shadow, Milford Haven, Newark, Echo, Knightsbridge, Meg, and Tyrone. They're the 8 Windsor Greys that'll be center stage here as they're pulling the Gold State coach in the procession here.
Yeah, and Josh, a lot of people were talking about these horses. Let's talk about the coach itself, though. I don't think the British public has seen this in some, 10 years? It's coming out in full fashion for this occasion.
Well, yes, but, this coach was commissioned in 2012 for the Diamond Jubilee, but actually we have seen this coach before taking the King to the state opening of Parliament and stuff. This is a coach that is actually familiar to the British public. It weighs over 3 tons. It's 3 meters tall. It's almost 5.5 meters long. It is 11 years old, but what I think is also very interesting about the coach is actually what you can't see, and that's the interior of the coach, because what is inside the coach is all different panels inlaid of materials from all across the UK, from locations and residences that are of historical significance to the monarchy. So you've got materials and woods and stones inlaid in the panel of this carriage from places like Holyrood House in Scotland, from Balmoral, from Sandringham, but you've also got materials from the cathedrals as well, St Paul's and Westminster Abbey, and you've also got materials even from ships like HMS Victory and the Mary Rose inside this carriage as well. This carriage, it was created for modern times, so this actually has some more modern appliances in the coach that you will not actually see in the Gold State coach, which will be part of the coronation procession later on. But what I can tell you is what we're seeing now. This is still a very grand procession. This is going to be, I think, less than a quarter of the size of the main coronation procession that we're seeing later. But you know what this procession contains is the 1st, 2nd, 3rd and 4th division of the Sovereign's escort. And I believe as well there will be a state car following this procession as well that will be carrying their Royal Highnesses, the Prince and Princess of Wales, as well as their 3 children, Prince George, Princess Charlotte and Prince Louis.
Yeah. You know, Josh, I gotta talk, and I gotta mention the weather. So characteristically fitting that it looks pretty rainy there in foggy London town.
It is very much raining in foggy London town. I'm not sure if the viewers can hear, but I certainly can. I'm very lucky. I'm protected with a fantastic canopy over the top, but I can hear the rain falling on this canopy. But I must say, even the rain is carrying on the tradition and is sticking to the tradition, because both for King George VI's coronation in 1937, as well as Her late Majesty the Queen's coronation in 1956, there was very much rainpour in those at those huge historic events as well. There was torrential downpour, it was described by one historian recently, at Her late Majesty the Queen's coronation, and then there was scattered showers, I read, for His late Majesty King George VI's coronation as well. So even the weather today is sticking with tradition, is carrying on its duties and is performing its tasks set at previous coronations as well. But from what we're seeing on screen, yes, you know, the weather, hopefully, we're all hoping it should be clear for the RAF flypast later on in a couple of hours. But, you know, it doesn't take away anything from the pomp, circumstance and ceremony that we're seeing here.
Yeah, and, you know, Josh, Lexi and I were kind of talking offline in the week leading up to this, and maybe you've spoken to some of them. Have you been in touch with friends, family, friends of friends, family of family, and spoke to them if they were around and they remember and they watched Queen Elizabeth II's coronation 70 years ago? Have you been hearing some of those stories this week there in London?
I absolutely have. I'm very lucky that I still have all 4 grandparents with us in our family. I'm even more lucky that I'm very close with all 4. And just last night, I was at dinner with my grandparents, where they were describing the coronation of 1956. That was that was for them. They were around for that coronation. They weren't around for King George VI's coronation in 1937, but they were describing a huge ceremony. They said that Westminster Abbey was absolutely filled to the rafters with people. That, you know, what we're seeing in Westminster, what we'll see in Westminster Abbey today is a very comfortable crowd of around 2,003, between 2,200 and 2,300 guests. In Westminster Abbey in 1956, they said that not a single corner of Westminster Abbey was empty, that people were crammed into the Abbey, filled right up to the rafters for that coronation ceremony. But they also remember, I believe it was the Queen of Tonga back in the day, because what they had as well back in the day, they had a huge procession of all different carriages, of all different heads of state riding into Westminster Abbey, and the Queen of Tonga apparently was waving at everyone through this procession, and she was the big talking point of that event as well. But bearing in mind, in 1956, television there, you know, was actually a relatively new thing, and people were crowding around sets up and down the country for much more primitive televisions to watch these events back in 1956.
Yeah, Lexi, people last saw Coronation in black and white.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think one of the most amazing things about this is really the first time that everyone globally will be able to watch this, take part in this. You mentioned some people had access to TVs during Queen Elizabeth, but we've also heard stories of people waiting for film to be transported to the United States to get to watch some of that as well. Have you heard any of those stories too, Josh?
Yes, I heard, of course, you know, Australia is a huge part of the Commonwealth, and I know they had problems because they couldn't watch the ceremony live, and they had to wait several days, in fact, for the film of the coronation to be presented to them. So in actual fact, yes, I am hearing stories similar to that. And, you know, we are very lucky that we've got modern services like this. You know, this is only the second coronation in history that's actually being televised. We know back in the day that his late Royal Highness the Duke of Edinburgh was behind the decision, was really kind of pioneering, trying to get very subtle cameras in Westminster Abbey so the coronation of his wife could be televised. He was once again, you know, at the front and centre, pioneering of British technology, not just for sciences but also the arts. He knew how important the arts were to the nation, and actually Her Majesty Queen Camilla, herself, she is very passionate about the arts and carrying on artistic traditions in this country. But yes, what we're seeing is only the second televised coronation in history. You know, this is a humongous event worldwide.
Yeah, and Josh, if you could, you're there live, you live in London, set the scene for us. We're watching the procession down the Mall. I believe they are going through the Admiralty Arch right now. Yeah. And the hundreds of people, the throngs of people that are lining the streets in the rain, coming from all over. I don't know if you got down there to speak with some of them, but they have come from near and far.
Yes, they have. They have come from near and far. Funny enough, I was down at the Palace where I spoke to Americans that were camping outside just to clamour to see the monarchy as well. You know, we've got people coming from all over the country to see this huge grand procession, to catch a glimpse of their majesties in the procession as well. We see people lining the streets. So in terms of the route of this procession, what we're seeing now, we're seeing the Diamond Jubilee State carriage coming through Admiralty Arch. They're going to pass through Trafalgar Square, then they're going to go down Whitehall, and then down through Parliament Street, past the east, through the east and south sides of Parliament Square, to then arrive at Westminster Abbey. Now, I must say this is a much shorter procession in terms of a processional route than Her late Majesty the Queen had back in 1953, where she famously described riding in the gold state coach as one of the most uncomfortable rides of her life, because it's an extremely old old coach. It's only sprung by leather. And she said that she thought that she was riding halfway through London. So, you know, for their Majesties here, you know, it's a fairly simple route. I imagine they would be fairly comfortable in the Diamond Jubilee State coach. But yes, what we're seeing now is we're seeing the coach turn past through Trafalgar Square and going down Whitehall towards Westminster.
Now, will you see the procession behind you over your shoulder? Is that going to be part of the route there, passing Big Ben?
I don't think I will see a procession coming past Big Ben behind me, because what I think the procession is going to be kind of going through Westminster that way. So it's not going to be necessarily in the road behind me. But what I can see behind me, just behind the Palace of Westminster, just through Parliament Square, is Westminster Abbey. So it is just on the other side of me, the procession. You know, both actually the procession routes. This is the King's procession, and yes, it might look grand. It's not going to look anywhere near as grand as the coronation procession later on that we're going to see as their Majesties depart Westminster Abbey and go through to Buckingham Palace. But what the procession will be is the same route as this, just simply in reverse.
Okay, Josh, Lexi, we're going to let the viewers listen in yet again to the sounds there in a very rainy London, as we are just minutes away from the official coronation ceremony kicking off. Let's listen, let's watch. Okay, so I said we'd take a little break here, but let's bring Josh and Lexi back in. There are some notable figures who just entered the Abbey, is there not, Josh Ram?
Yes, absolutely. So we've just seen Prince Harry. He has arrived at Westminster Abbey alongside his first cousins, Princess Beatrice and Princess Eugenie. They are the daughters of Prince Andrew, the Duke of York, and Sarah Ferguson, the Duchess of York. They are attending the service as spectators, but we are seeing Prince Harry now walking through the Abbey. This is a huge moment here. Prince Harry, of course, he has very much stated several bombshell testimonies about the royal family, not just in interviews with the likes of Tom Bradby and Anderson Cooper on CBS, but of course his bombshell biography, Spare, where he described Her Majesty the Queen Camilla, as like the wicked witch of the East and the West. So, you know, as we discussed earlier, it wasn't known. Okay, what we're seeing now, we are also seeing the Duke of Edinburgh and the Duchess of Edinburgh, the former Earl of Wessex, and Sophie, the former Countess of Wessex, alongside their children, Lady Louise Windsor, as well as the now Earl of Wessex, former Viscount Severn. They are just brother. Entering the Abbey now. So we're seeing members of the royal family enter Westminster Abbey now as we speak.
Yeah, and Josh, I was looking there trying to read everyone's faces as Prince Harry walked in. What do you think their reaction is to seeing him again after this time?
Well, listen, it was always expected that Prince Harry was going to attend the coronation ceremony, so that's really no surprise there. And I don't think that people would be necessarily surprised that Prince Harry was attending the coronation ceremony, but I would imagine They would be watching him walking into the Abbey, trying to remain calm and composed. This is still a big moment for him. This is the moment that his father has been waiting for, but I'm sure that there were more than one or more than a few, several raised eyebrows in the Abbey as he walked past.
Yeah. I mean, Josh, you say it was always expected he was going to be there, but from what I remember, the question was really still on the table, what, a month or two out from the coronation. And let's talk, though, about how he will be perceived, especially post-coronation. Do you think there is going to be some type of reconciliation, meeting of the minds, coming together to put the past behind them, let bygones be bygones? Do you think this is one of those moments for the family?
Yeah, I very much doubt it's that moment. You know, the fact that Prince Harry is here simply for a flying visit, just to attend the coronation, to be there for his father as a son, but in no formal role. I highly doubt that there will be a reconciliation of the family. He's not going to be here long enough to properly speak to his family, I don't think, because there are going to be several activities behind the scenes going on. This is simply a flying visit. I doubt there will be a proper moment for formal talks, for formal reconciliation, for any sort of intervention behind the scenes. This is a flying visit. And that's the thing. I think it's more of a case of, you know, the fact that Prince Harry is here, of course, without his family, without his wife, Duchess Meghan, without his children, Prince Archie, without his daughter, Princess Lilibet, which he's going back to the US, I believe, later on today. It's speculated that straight after the coronation service, he might be on a plane, you know, even as quickly as the fly past may be. That even has been speculated in this country, that may or may not happen. So, you know, the fact is, I highly doubt that there will be a proper moment for him to chat with his family. We do know that that there is still very much, tensions are high. There is still very much a feud between him and his brother, Prince William, the Prince of Wales, as well as Princess Catherine, the Princess of Wales. We know from royal insiders that Princess Catherine actually commented that the joint walkabout that they did outside of Windsor Castle after the death of Her late Majesty, the Queen, was one of the hardest things that the Princess of Wales, she said that she ever, reportedly said, that she ever had to do, simply because the feelings and the tensions were so high between that quartet. So even though, yes, that came out of a moment of reunification, so to speak, with the family, I doubt that we will see a reconciliation anytime soon, particularly as it's been reported that Meghan, the Duchess of Sussex, actually also has her own memoir in the works as well, her own biography in the works as well. And I think as well, yes, I did mention the fact that we can now say it was always expected. There was no question that Prince Harry was going to attend the coronation. But, you know, it is exactly as you said. There was a real lack of communication, a real lack of messaging from Montecito. They kept the palace hanging on. The palace only confirmed it fairly recently that Prince Harry was actually going to attend the coronation. So, yes, I think that is very much the sense of Montecito, of the Duke and Duchess of Sussex wanting to remain, you know, in the headlines and very much kind of keeping everyone on edge right until the last minute. Sure.
It looks like the procession has just passed the cenotaph there in London, if my London landmarks stand correct there. Lexi, you have one more point you want to make, though, on other members of the royal family, right?
Yeah, well, actually, Josh, you mentioned the memoir Spare in there, and obviously that has been very widely talked about all over. Harry, at one point in Spare, wrote about his brother, Prince William, saying that it's his beloved brother, but also arch nemesis. How do you think that has been perceived as a whole? I mean, just considering that he's now back after that's been released, and there's been so much talk around it.
Yes, there's been so much talk around it, but, you know, I think we're seeing the paths that the different brothers are taking. You know, for example, we saw Prince Harry and Meghan cozying up together at a Lakers game, where we've been seeing Prince William undertaking significant royal duties. You know, the two brothers are taking very different paths in life now. going forward. And I think that is very stark here. You know, we're going to see Prince William here at this ceremony play a hugely important role, where he will pledge allegiance to his father, Prince Charles. He will pledge his allegiance to his father on life and limb, and he will have a very important role in clothing his father just before the investiture, before the enthronement as well. You know, we're seeing huge differences. Whilst Prince William, the Prince of Wales, has a hugely important role in the ceremony itself, with even his son Prince George as a page of honour who will be partly holding the sovereign's robes in the coronation. You know, Prince Harry, he's simply there as a spectator.
Hey, you know, Josh, I had a question too. When you talk about members of the royal family, there are a lot of them, but they're not all, from what I understand, going to join the King and Queen Consort on the palace balcony there post-coronation to wave to the crowd. That's going to be a very, limited invitation-only gathering, is it not?
Yes, absolutely. And can I just say, even to this day, Buckingham Palace have not actually confirmed the exact list of what members of the royal family will be on top of the balcony at Buckingham Palace as well. So we still to this day do not fully know which members there are. I think what we do know, it's expected that, of course, their Majesties will definitely be on there. It's very much, I think it's believed, and I think it's expected that the Prince and Princess of Wales and their 3 children, including Prince Louis, will be appearing on the Buckingham Palace balcony. I believe that the Duke and Duchess of Edinburgh and the Wessex children will also be on the Buckingham Palace balcony as well, as well as Princess Anne.
Josh, it does look like the carriage there, the coach has arrived at the entrance of Westminster Abbey. We're about to see King Charles, the Queen Consort Camilla, get out of the coach. I believe they're going to be welcomed by the Archbishop of Canterbury there and others. Let's listen, let's watch.